Hi everyone, Amy here with Amy's Wares, and I'm going to show you a little bit of my sentiment storage batching and a quick and easy card. Now I recently acquired this die set from Concord and Ninth, and she's a beauty. So I'm going to dive in and use some of this scratch paper to cut out some of the dies and make this card that you see here. So stick around, I'll show you how I make the card, but to start I'm just going to kind of show you a little bit of my process. If you've seen my sentiment storage solution, my little books with all the little pockets, I get asked all the time lots of questions about that and what my process is. So usually when I get a new die like this one, I try to at least cut out a couple each of them or something and put them into that book. So I'm kind of on a kick with custom color things, so I'm actually going to cut everything out in white. So this is 120 pound accent opaque. And I'm trying to kind of keep these dies mint taped together just to kind of save a little bit of time. And then I'll kind of line that whole shebang over another piece of cardstock and run it through, one or two more times through my die cutting machine, just so I can get a little bit of a stockpile. So this is one way to do it. Obviously, if you're just getting started and you're wanting to do a batching book, then you may want to commit, I don't know, maybe sit in front of a movie or your favorite show and then just do a bunch of die cutting with your sentiment dies and things like that. But as you can see here, I cut out the shadow layer and the word layer twice of each of them. And I have the little tittles running around. So I'm just kind of separating them based on what they say. And I'm going to take a little piece of this mint tape just to kind of stick the tittles on so they don't go running away on me and I don't lose them. So I'm going to use one of them for the card today, but here's my sentiment book. It's kind of off to the left, I apologize. But I'm just going to kind of nestle these into my storage book so that way I have them when I want to use them, and you'll see what I mean about custom coloring them in a moment here when I start to work on the card. But I love these fatty sentiments from Concord and Ninth. It's one of my favorite companies. I adore their products. I think they're so cool. And I love when sentiments are nice and imposing like this, because then you can just create a fun background and then just slap one of these sentiments on there. And that's really all you need. It doesn't have to be complicated. So here I'm just kind of nestling them into these little pockets. And then I have this take care, which I just got to poke out the little fiddly bits. And then I'm going to apply ink to the word portion and then leave the shadow layer white. So you could go either way. I mean, you could color the shadow layer and then leave the words white, or doing what I'm doing here. So I'm trying to kind of use both of these purplish colors in a straight line across these, and I'm getting ink all over the place, all over my fingers, but I'm just trying to get these little nooks and crannies. And I'm starting with the lighter color because I figure the darker color will just, meld fine with the lighter color. So I could have actually, now that I'm looking at it, I could have left a nice white stripe in the center. That would have looked really nice too. But I'm just pouncing it right into these crazy juicy ink pads and getting ink all over, and trying to create that kind of straight line across the sentiment. So I'm going to use these same two colors to create my card, but I'm filling in any little spots that I missed with this blending brush. This is a Zig blending pen or blending marker or something like that, but it's a really nice thing that I keep on my crafty desk or my crafty space just in case I miss any little spots, and I can kind of spot check any little area and kind of fill in some color. So here I definitely have pixie spray on this. This is a Sound Waves stencil. You can see it is extremely delicate. So you'll want to do a temporary adhesive like pixie spray on a stencil like this. Otherwise, it's going to move all around on you. But I'm going to start with the lighter color first and go kind of heavy-handed and then work into the darker color and then just kind of blend it all over the composition. Now, this panel at this point, I think I have it 5.5 inches by 4. So I was going to just leave, a little bit of border on the long sides, but I ended up not liking that and trimming it down further. So I wanted a bigger white border all the way around the card. And because I was just using the sentiment and not really any other focal point, I figured I could cut the panel down even further and have even more white space. So here I'm coming in with the darker color and blending it into the lighter. And at this point I'm debating on how much white space I want to leave. So I do end up pulling the color out a little bit more and just kind of working it until you know, it's how I want it. And then I'm going to peel it back to reveal this amazing design. I think this stencil is so fun. And now I just have to figure out placement, where I want to put the Take Care. I'm going to use my Artist Tack micro dots to attach the word layer to the shadow layer. So these are little mini micro dots of glue. If you ever get glue on the front and it's just like a regular cardstock like this, you can just use your adhesive eraser and kind of get those right off. So that's the one drawback about micro dot sheets, is sometimes the little dots will get on the top sheet and then therefore transfer to the top of your die cut, but it's still worth it for me not to deal with liquid glue oozage. So use whatever adhesive, you know, works best for you, but I find an adhesive eraser just cleans that right up. And I'm actually running the adhesive eraser all over this panel because I had to use a lot of pixie spray. And I think my pixie spray is getting a little bit old. It's getting a little bit chunky, and sometimes that will leave a bit of a residue on my panel, which I don't like. So I'm able to get that right off again with that adhesive eraser. So if you don't have one of those and you don't have a sand eraser, those are two must-haves in your crafty stash, because the sand eraser will help you get rid of little smudges if you stick your finger in ink and smudge it somewhere, or the adhesive eraser will help you get rid of all sorts of gunk. So very helpful tools for your crafty stash. So here I have a 1-inch foam tape that I get from scrapbook.com, and I use that to kind of pop up this panel directly on the card base. And this is 120-pound accent opaque, A2 or US A2 size, so 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2. And I cut down a strip of that same foam tape, and I'm just kind of putting it on the back of this sentiment to pop it up even further. So there's going to be double dimension, folks. Double dimension. So I don't always do this, but sometimes I like to, you know, live on the edge and pop it up really high. So we'll see how it does in shipping, but should be okay. Anyway, I'm going to put this down right on the card once I decide where I want it to go. And then I will add some resin drop blingage after I'm done pulling this off the back. This stuff is really sticky. You can see it was becoming one with my skin. It was like fused with my finger, and I had to fight to get it back off and put it back on the paper. But anyway, we made it. We survived. And here I have some resin droplets. These look like water. They're my favorite. I'm definitely on a resin droplet kick lately. And I'm going to use some liquid glue for this because I do find the liquid glue acceptable in this case. And use my jewel picker and pop them down, 3 on the top, 2 on the bottom. And that's going to finish the card. So if you shop from this stencil or any of the other hundreds, actually probably thousands of amazing stencils out of Colorful Life Designs, be sure to use my coupon AmyFan10 and save on your complete order. So I'll link all the other products that I used in the video description box below, and I appreciate you spending time with me. Thanks for watching. Bye.